got vaccinated, and they're like, you can take off your mask, Mom. I'm like, you got cooties still probably, so
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Now?
All right, you're live.
All
Yes.
right. All right. Welcome everyone to the April 1st of 2021, our city show. This is not an April Fool's joke. It's really April already. I can't even believe it, but boy, it sure did creep up on us so fast. It seems like last year on one hand went really fast, and if you think about it a different way, it drug. So I don't know. I'm just looking forward to spring and all of the good things that we have ahead of us. We do have with us today Shane Orr, the executive director of the United Way of Muscatine. He's got a couple different things that he wants to share with us. But before that, I just wanted to touch base on a couple of current events. Certainly the vaccine round or the vaccine distribution is right out there that everybody wants to talk about. So, that we have the 3 vaccines going, and you can get them in a variety of ways. If you want to call Wester Drug, you can call them on a phone call and get on a list. If you want to go on a website, you can go on to Hy-Vee and sign up that way. Just keep trying until you find an opening. You can also call Senior Resources 263-7292, and they will help you navigate that system. You could also call 211 and do the same thing. As you know, we've been already vaccinating those over 65. Then it was open to 65 and under with underlying health conditions. And as of Monday, April 5th, it will be opened up to anybody over the age of 18. So everybody should be able to get access. Now, there's going to be a lot more people in the pool. So getting that vaccine is probably going to be a little trickier. Be patient. Also, remember that those 65 and over should probably be getting a phone call from their primary care physician to come in and get a shot. So the vaccine distribution goes to public health through one stream, but Wester and Hy-Vee both have another stream that they're getting vaccinations in. So we just keep working through it. We got over 3,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson this week. That was for those folks in our community that work in industry. So those were all lined up through their employer. And, when they can do those mass vaccination sites, that really takes a lot out of the pool of people waiting too. So that's a big help. Big thanks to all of our essential workers and everything they're doing to help us navigate that vaccination distribution and making sure that we all can be safe in the future. So very good that we're on a path. We at least feel like there's hope at the end and light at the end of the tunnel. Next, I just wanted to share with everyone, we have a lot of activities going on in Muscatine right now. The old adage, there's nothing to do here, just isn't true. There's a ton of stuff going on. So get on the Musser Public Library website, get on the Muscatine Art Center website or Facebook pages. You will see all kinds of adult and youth activities there that you can access and enjoy. We have all of great park system. We've got our trails. We've got all kinds of stuff like that. The Easter weekend's coming up. There's a lot of worship services and events at local churches. So tap into any of those that you're interested in. And the YMCA also has a ton of things and good time to sign up for a lot of different activities. So see what you're interested in, you and your family, and make sure you access those services. But now I'd like to get to our guest. We have Shane Orr with us, as we mentioned, with United Way of Muscatine. You guys have been a great source of assistance to people in the community throughout this past year. Not that you're not always, but you really have stepped up to the plate with the COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome, Shane, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what kind of things have you guys all done? I know quite a few, but I bet the general public doesn't see everything that you're doing behind the scenes.
Well, I think with any organization, you have to adapt to the changes in the environment. And when we saw this start to happen last March, I think it was on my birthday last year, March 17th, that everything started shutting down. We decided to try to do whatever we could to kind of support the social service sector, to support people that might be in need of assistance and that kind of thing. So we teamed up with Aligned Impact Muscatine and the Community Foundation right away to start holding weekly social service calls with providers here in Muscatine, and not just social service like nonprofit providers, but government and other providers as well, to try to get everybody together to try to figure out what the needs were going to be in the community and how we could best address those. Aligned Impact Muscatine really took the lead on kind of organizing those calls and hosting everybody each week. Shortly thereafter, the Community Foundation started a community continuity fund to grant out money to nonprofits that were serving people during that time, and we sat in on the review process for that for the applicants. And then almost right away, we noticed that there was a need in the community for people to get assistance that were homebound. So the Salvation Army and MCSA, the two major food pantries in town, came together to try to figure out how they were going to get food to people that were in need. So, our expertise is in volunteers, providing volunteers. So we organize volunteer drivers through our office to help deliver meals to people that needed them. I know for a while there, Kent Corporation was actually cooking the meals for a while, but just everybody trying to come together to try to get meals to people that were stuck in their homes. And we're still delivering. We were delivering hot meals for a while, but then we switched to weekly grocery bags. We're still delivering probably, I think, around 140 last time I saw, every week, grocery bags to people that are homebound. And again, we're providing the volunteers, and the food pantry is providing the actual bags. And then, things along the same lines, cleaning and hygiene items. We started a cleaning and hygiene item closet that's actually housed in what was our conference room in our office right now. And we have volunteers that deliver those items to people that need them, just to try to serve the community. The latest thing that we've been involved in is providing volunteers for the vaccination clinic, or the vaccination pods that are going on. Mm-hmm. So, as the supply increases, our local public health, there's way more work there than they can do with their staff, just in terms of the number of vaccinations that have to be done. Sure. Mm-hmm. So, we got together with them, and we're providing whatever assistance we can to help support what they're doing. And so we're finding volunteers to help do those. Obviously, our volunteers aren't the ones giving the shots, but they're helping direct traffic, check people in, that kind of thing, to just help that process flow more smoothly as we're needed. So that's kind of an overview of all of the stuff that we've been involved in, just pandemic related, over the past year.
It's been really amazing to watch in our community how the service organizations really came together to identify any gaps. What do people need? What is the big thing that people are facing, and how United Way was able to rally all of those groups together to be able to, for each of them to raise their hand and say, well, I can do this, and I can do this, and you can do that, and you can do that. But you guys were able to be that hub to bring everybody to that table virtually, of course.
Yeah, right.
It's been amazing.
That is one thing that I really am proud of our community for is, a lot of communities, they don't have that kind of relationship between the nonprofits the way we do. And here, when, even early on, when we noticed that this was going to be kind of an issue that was going to go on for a while, everybody was willing to just pitch in and do whatever we needed to do to make sure that people were still getting served in our community, and there weren't people that were left out or falling through the cracks out there. So,
the old saying, I think it was Truman, but don't quote me on that. It's amazing what can get done if you don't care who gets the credit.
Yeah.
And I think that really, really came true over this past year, because there were so many people working behind the scenes, making sure that things happened, that people got food, they got paper products, that got the different things that they needed, even the small business forgivable loan that we did
Right,
with,
right.
that the city came together, with the community foundation in days to kick this off so that we could address whatever needs were out there. It was just amazing. And like you say, the people that are homebound, they still need food.
Yeah.
They still need to see someone once in a while. So you guys were able to really bring that all together, and it was really amazing to watch. And you're right, every community isn't as fortunate as we are when it comes to that. There's not that
Yeah.
constant competition between service providers in Muscatine. We work together. We truly work together and collaborate in unity, and that can be seen with our positive outcomes.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, that even extends into the business community, not just nonprofits. When the school, Muscatine School District was trying to retool things for virtual learning and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
Power and Water was there at the table to try to help problem solve some of that stuff. We were fortunate enough to get a grant to help offset some of those costs for families, but even as I mentioned Kent before, I think all the businesses in town were willing to do their part as well. So
Yeah. Even the library, they instantly got IT to hook up outside Wi-Fi for not just this
right,
parking lot, but that like the whole block. So anybody who needed access to Wi-Fi can just pull up in their car and sit there and be on their phone, their laptop, whatever they need at no cost, 24 hours a day. Just
yeah,
those little things that really can make a difference in people's lives and in the success of their family and what's going on at the time, getting them through whatever obstacles we're facing.
yeah,
Crazy.
that's for sure.
hmm and being able to think outside the box where okay, this has always been a conference room, but you know what, it can be a storage room now, because that's what we need. We don't need a conference room. People aren't meeting in person, but we do need a place to put all of our food and supplies, so we can use that. Being able to not be so rigid and be able to adapt on your feet, that's a
Yeah, you
big help.
have to be flexible.
Have to be, especially in our changing world, that's for sure. So you guys also are embarking, right through this pandemic season. I know you started talking about it a couple of years ago, but you guys have been progressing to a new focus. I don't know how many
Yeah,
people are really aware of that change. Can you
yeah,
explain that a little bit?
yeah, sure. For many years, probably the last 15 years, maybe, United Ways have broadly focused on either education, income, or health, kind of those three pillars. And a few years ago, our board was kind of looking at these population level statistics, and we really wanted to try to make a big impact in the community, and use our resources in a way that could really, make a difference and change some of those community statistics. And while we were having a lot of programmatic successes, like individual programs were having success, we didn't seem to be making that big change at the community level that we really wanted to see. So yeah, we undertook a strategic planning process that lasted for quite a while to try to figure out which what area we could best focus on to make the biggest impact. And kind of through that, we landed on trying to increase self-sufficiency of people here in Muscatine. It's kind of fortunate now looking back that as we were approaching the change, all of this happened with the pandemic in the last year,
Mhm.
but the focus on self-sufficiency is even more important now, I think, than it even was prior to a year ago. So I think we were just fortunate in that we didn't have a crystal ball or anything, but we were fortunate that we happened to pick a focus that was well suited to try to help people out even after the pandemic. So kind of within that, we have in order to make that change, that population level change, and to help people with self-sufficiency, we're funding in the areas of either education and training, workforce, that kind of area, and affordable and sustainable housing. We're still also funding some basic needs programs as well, because we realize that that's important too. But, as the community talks more about housing, especially, our role, we didn't feel our role was necessarily in housing supply. I think that's best suited. I've seen many city council meetings and county board of supervisors meetings. So I know that there's a group working on the supply side of that equation.
Sure.
We're more focused on the affordability and sustainability for families, to be able to remain in the homes that they're in, or find places that they can live and afford. So, we've been making that change over the past several years, and this was our first year kind of transitioning to that new granting process. And we have a data system that we're putting in place to kind of help track our progress for organizations that we're funding. And going forward, we'll be more fully invested in those areas to try to really make that impact.
Well, we've talked for quite some time about trying to address the broader community's outlook on why are these people struggling.
Yeah.
And when you really break down the numbers, which your Alice report gave us a lot of tools and data that we can use to help make those explanations. This is why,
Right.
this is why they're, they say you're supposed to have 3 months, of expenses in the bank, but these people can't make it from 1 week to the next. How are they where's that going to come from? And it all tracks back to, is their income matching their expenses? And these people aren't like, it's not people that don't want to work. It's not
Right.
people that are, spendthrift, and indulging. It's people that are trying to pay rent, transportation costs, and food, and childcare costs, just trying to get through. And that Alice report, I rely on that so much, to help draw those conclusions and show people. My husband was speaking to someone the other day who rents their home, and we're talking a small little 2-bedroom house, and
Yeah.
and they told him the rent was $1,100, and he about fell over. He's like, "What? $1,100? Are you kidding me?" Back not that long ago, a house like that would be $200-300. But the rent, if you are making $10 an hour and you're trying to pay that.
Right.
So we got to get people where they're making more than $10 an hour. And you're right. The way we do that is by starting early with education.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to figure out, get people the skills they need to match the jobs that are available in the workforce. Because that's another thing. I know that there are jobs that pay well enough to support a family, but in a lot of cases, the supply of people to fill those isn't always there. So it's trying to match some of that.
Yep. And we used to do this big push back when our kids were young. Everybody has to get a 4-year degree, and that's what our push was on all of our kids. You got to go get your 4-year degree. Some of our kids aren't even using their 4-year degree and what their job is. But yeah, and then they have, student loan debt on top of it. But I think what we've been starting to see these last few years is there are career paths that do not include a 4-year degree. And there are trades, and MCC has certificate courses that you can take to make yourself be eligible for some of those jobs that will sustain a family.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, one of the things that we're involved in is the Fueling the Future project, where we, along with many other organizations in town, are trying to do exactly what you said, provide that short-term training opportunity that's going to really increase a family's income, with a short 6-week program, maybe in either welding, CNA, CNC, added pharmacy tech to it now, and then providing all of the supports that they need alongside of them as they work through the getting the education so that the family can be successful. So, we're happy to be a part of that program as well that addresses those kinds of needs. And as you said, many people think that they need some kind of college degree in order to be successful.
Mhm.
But in these cases, it's, it's very short programs, and a lot of those technical skills
Mhm.
that local employers really are looking for, and can pay a wage that's going to support a family. So
Yep. Yep. And really just an awareness for the families. Some people might not even realize that there are small little steps like that they can do to secure the financial future of their family. They might not know. They might think, oh, well, I got to do this and I'll never get it, so forget it. We've got to get that message out to them through whatever paths we can, that there are things that they can do, and there are services that will help them overcome the roadblocks preventing them from doing it. And you guys have stepped up. I mean, MCC has just, amazingly done a good job of looking out at what kind of skills and training are needed in our community to fit the jobs in our community and match those up. It's been great to see that movement over the last couple of years.
yeah, and that's just another example of a bunch of organizations coming together to address a need, and everybody kind of playing different roles in the process to do what we need to do to support families. I think what leads to success is when you pull organizations together to address a problem, because no one organization can really
No.
make that big impact that you need to make. If each organization kind of plays the role that they're best at, then you have a better shot when they all pull together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can lead that charge, and we can be that model for other communities to follow too, as we figure out, the best way to positive outcomes for families in our community. And you guys are doing a great job with providing the funds to the organizations so that they can each fill their own little niche.
Right. Yeah, and as I said, with the data system in place, we're hoping to really be able to track that and really show the success as organizations are doing the great work that they're doing.
And I always say, Jane, the people, people who believe that anybody could just make it if they just want to, it's just, that's not necessarily accurate. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to have enough money to put a roof over their heads and take care of their children and be a good parent. Some might need extra tools to help, and that's what we need to do, not just helping them, manage their bills at the end of every month, but let's help them be able to do their own. Everybody wants to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's providing the supports that they need to be able to sustain themselves and provide for their households the way that they can.
Absolutely. So. Increase, our kids in preschool so they're ready to learn at kindergarten. Increase how many kids stay in school so they can get on those right paths, and all of the things working together.
That's exactly right.
Yep. And then that leads me to this new funding network collaboration that you guys have been working on. That seems to be a big help for service organizations too, to be able to tap into resources. How's that all working?
Yeah, so that's a collaboration between the Community Foundation, Muscatine Charities, Early Childhood Iowa, Muscatine County, and United Way. The four of us have been talking for quite some time about how to come together to make things more efficient in terms of funding, and make more things easier for organizations that are asking for funding. And the four of us represent some of the major funders in town. And so through some discussions, we found ways that we could really kind of streamline things and make things easier, so that a lot of the nonprofits could spend less time filling out paperwork and more time doing the great work that they're doing. So, United Way, the Community Foundation, and Muscatine Charities all are on the same grant portal now that's hosted by the Community Foundation. So all three of us, if you're going to apply to any of us, you only have one login to deal with, and all of our grant applications are on there. We all have our own grant priorities, obviously. But in addition to that, we've also really streamlined the grant application. So now the grant application is the same for our organizations as well. There may be one or two questions different, but for the most part, the grant applications are the same. And then in addition to that, we had kind of streamlined the financial review process a little bit. So instead of having to submit all of your financial information and your audit and all of that stuff to each of us as you're trying to fill out different grants, we have one process each year, and then all 4 organizations kind of share that information, so that an organization only has to submit their audit and their financial information one time during the year, and they don't have to submit it each time they're filling out a grant application for each of the organizations. So with all those changes, we feel like it'll really cut down on the time that people are spending filling out paperwork.
And isn't that the whole, I mean, the whole goal is for these service organizations to have the time to help the people in the community and do their good work, not fill out paperwork for funding.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And, and you're right, that same financial information you give to United Way, you give to Community Foundation, you give to Muscatine Charities. If you could just give it once, that just saves time and energy that can be devoted to families and whatever your services that you provide.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And with us being on the same grant platform too, it just makes things a lot easier. So you log in once, all of your applications are accessible there. And if you apply to United Way early in the year, when the Community Foundation or Muscatine Charities comes open, you can see all of your information is there, and you can put it into the next application pretty easily. So
nice, like the old-fashioned cut and paste, only right there. And I think it's really worth mentioning too that it's it's a green initiative as well. For somebody who's been doing grants for 30 years, I can tell you, I have done grants where you have to turn in, 24 copies of every single one, that are, 40 pages each, only one-sided, and 12-point font and double spaced, and you're sending away boxes, literally boxes of grant applications of paper, and ink and postage, and all of that is, why waste all of that, the finances, on postage when it could go to the service you're providing, let alone, all of the waste of paper and our precious resources. So doing everything electronically is another win.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago where we were, in early at my United Way career, where we were doing the same thing. We had 10 copies that had to be submitted, so that we could give those to the review committee, and we created all of these binders with all of the information in it. And so, yeah, you're right. Moving digitally was just not only a savings for the organizations, but it was a savings for us too, because of all of the the documentation we had to kind of make the binders and do all of that stuff too, and not having to do that was a huge time savings.
Oh yes, we just talked about that. We just finished our budgets for the city, and we all end up with these huge 3-ring binders, like 4-inch 3-ring binders, just filled from with documents. And we actually asked this year and for us to start going digitally with those. And Cinda spends days and days and days making all these copies and putting everything in there. And, when we all have a little, laptop or iPad that we can sit there and go through them, why not utilize that resource and save our natural resources and time?
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right.
The time is valuable too, that it takes to do those things. And then what do you do with them after?
Right. Yeah.
Now you got all this stuff to shred or throw or what have you. So, and as someone who utilized this network earlier this year through the Y, I found it very easy to navigate.
Yeah, we were the first ones as everything switched over. So we hope as people are applying, as I said, later on this year, they'll find it way less time consuming because their information's already in there now. So
And you know, we don't have to always do things the same way we've always done them just because that's the way we've always done them.
that's exactly right. Exactly.
That's tough to overcome sometimes, but we can do it. We can do it. So what do you see coming up on the horizon for United Way for the rest of the year? Here we are, April. You've been through your grant cycle.
Yep.
You've got everything's going pretty well with the social service group. What do you see coming up?
Well, you know, we do have a couple of other things that we're trying to do to support the community. We have myfreetaxes.com through United Way Worldwide.
Yes.
Is a great site that people can go to. Anybody can go to that and use that site. As long as you have a simple tax return, it's completely free for both state and federal. So we're encouraging people to use that site. If people need some help navigating that, they can call our office, and Nicole at our office helps people kind of navigate the site and helps them out to make sure that they can get everything filled out correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And then this month, we starting today was our community baby shower. So we're collecting items for all of the organizations that serve new mothers and to get them the stuff they need to start things off well, whether it's diapers or you know, any supply that would be needed by new moms.
Huge
so we're
service.
kind of collecting those items, and then we distribute those to the organizations that kind of serve those clients. So that's a couple things like in the near future that are coming up.
Sure. Now you guys are usually have a presence at Farmers Market too.
Yep.
That's going to start this month.
Yeah. Yep. And we have that. We have Day of Caring. We're hoping that we'll be able to do Day of Caring in person this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we tried that a little bit with we had some outdoor projects to keep people socially distanced. So we had to really scale it down last year when we did it. But we're really hoping that we can kind of get things closer to normal with that and get some of those projects done that people kind of rely on out in the community. I know the rebuilding day is coming up here in April.
Oh yeah.
We're rebuilding together. So
rebuilding together.
Shout out to them and Frank.
Oh, Frank Iliff and his group are just amazing. The amount of work and service that they've provided in our community is just over the top.
Yeah. Yep.
What a blessing that we have them here.
That's
now, are you guys still doing the summer lunch program, or is a different group doing that now?
The school district actually is taking that back over. Yep.
Okay.
They did that for the first time, I believe, last year. They had taken it back, which was kind of an odd year, but
makes sense though. Makes sense.
Yep, we filled in for several years on that, but yeah.
When there was a need, I thought you guys jumped up and did that.
Yep, we did. Yep.
Very good. Very good. Anything else we forgot to talk about, Shane?
Oh, probably, but
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us today and sharing all the good things going on at United Way Muscatine. Now, when does your donation cycle, your fundraising start? In November?
We don't really, I mean, a majority of it takes place in the fall, but we've kind of tried to get away from just having a set cycle.
Set time.
Just
all
kind
year.
of doing that. Whenever people want to send money our way, we'll gladly accept it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Thank you so much. We appreciate all you do.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Mayor.
Certainly. Well, we are glad you joined us today at home or wherever you're at. We enjoyed being able to share with you what United Way of Muscatine is doing. And next week is the second week of the month, because today's April 1. And the second week of each month, we dedicate to a city department and highlighting the services that they provide. So next month, next week, we get to have Melanie Alexander, the director of the Muscatine Art Museum, with us, and she is going to talk about all the different things that they have coming up. I've said it 1,000 times on here. You probably get tired of hearing me, but we are just so fortunate to have an art center of the caliber that we do here in our community. Just another one of the blessings that we have. It's absolutely amazing. So Melanie will be here with us next week. Tonight we do have a Muscatine City Council meeting at 7 o'clock. We'd love to have you join us. We ask that you join virtually. You can find the agenda with the log-on information on the City of Muscatine's website. We are going to be working through the rest of our weekend. I'm not sure, you know what, now that I mention it, there's going to be a few things closed around the weekend. On Friday, there's no school Friday, and there's no school on Monday. So check before you go out and make sure that you're not missing anything. I think most things will be open on Easter. But we look forward to next week seeing you here on Our City, and thank Shane for joining us from the United Way of Muscatine. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you here next week.